Hi, I wanted to share with you just 8 fun projects that I've done over the past years. I've put them all in one video to make it easier for you to be able to watch and go through. So on this first video, what we're going to do is these cute little tea lights. And what I've done is I've created that soy candle inside with just the soy melt within the microwave, and that is actually on a share which will show you how to make those candles. Super easy peasy to do. These little tea lights you can pick up at the Dollar Tree, pretty much anywhere, and then you can also pick them up when you're out yard selling. A lot of the things that I pick up that I create and I turn into cute little projects for you are from my adventures of yard selling and just being very wise with my shopping and Goodwill and stuff like that. So as you see here, it's kind of a little glitchy to start with, but it smooths out here, and we're going to just get right to it. These are little pieces of fabric that I hung on to as I did other creations. So I just kind of roughed out the edges, trimmed them up a smidge where I can twist them and glue them onto these cute little tea lights. So see how I'm just roughing out the edges, crinkling them together, and then we'll glue them onto the little tea lights, put some little accents on there to make them little bling bling, little Christmassy. And that's pretty much it. Pretty easy peasy to do. I'm going to do that with the glue gun. You'll see that here in a second as well. We'll take some Christmas garland and we are going to trim that up and glue that onto it as well. So all those little pieces, when you're making your different crafts and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with that? Just toss them all in a little basket, because later on you can use them to make little accents and little projects down the road. So as we're moving forward, share. Remember, when you're gluing, be careful with your fingers. We don't want you to get hurt. And here's this up in the corner, a little sample of 3 of them completed on a little turntable for you can kind of get an idea what they look like. Got to thinking about it afterwards. I probably should have lit those off so you could really get the visual. So just remember to like and follow on Facebook, and on YouTube, subscribe and set your notify. It's basically the same thing, just different media platforms. And that's pretty much it on these little tea lights. They're super easy peasy to do. Great way to accent your tables. Remember too, when you're trimming up your pieces of materials, to use your nice heavy duty cutters instead of your scissors, so you don't tear your scissors, the blades up on that. So just fluff them out and enjoy them. And there we go. Tea lights. Super easy peasy. And as I shared earlier, if you want to know how to make the candles, you can check that out on my video share as well, because it does show you how to melt those down on another video share. Just going to do one more here just to give you another idea of how to fluff it out and everything, and then we're going to jump on to a new project. And remember too, as you're watching these, if you want to fast forward, you can jump, you can do that, totally fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all, man. I want you to be able to watch them in your own time frame and watch the segments and the pieces that are going to be applicable to you. Applicable for you. So again, we're going to twist, and then we're going to hold that fabric down on the hot glue, give it a little dry time, let it pop, decorate it, and bam, we're done. We have some really cute little tea lights to decorate with. What I did with these tea lights, I actually gave a few to my neighbors, as well as this little Christmas gifts, little Christmas thank yous. So there you go. So now that we finished these ones up, we are going to jump onto another project here. Super cute. It's so easy to do. Your kids can even do these with you. Now we're going to jump into a vine wreath, where you can find these vine wreaths at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any of those stores that sell any type of hobbies, craft materials. So here what I've done is I purchased the flowers at Michael's. This I actually picked up at Michael's as well. And remember how I share that you can do this after the holidays and you have them for the next season. And then you can save a ton of money when you do that, because they blow them out after the holidays. You remember, guys, how much? 80 to 90% off. Yeah, they do. So keep your eyes out for that, especially with the economy the way it's just been raging out of control. It's good to get a good deal here now and there. So what I do is I buy my materials for the next season. If I'm buying stuff after Christmas, I buy red for Valentine's Day. I buy the greens for St. Patrick's Day. And then, of course, I buy different things for the next holidays coming up for Christmas and stuff. So what we're doing right here is I got the high quality flowers because I bought them at Michael's. I didn't skimp on them because I got them 80 or 90% off probably. And now what we're going to do is glue this on to the wreath form. Isn't that so pretty? I love white. So we're going to cut that all down with your cutters, not with your scissors. Get yourself a good pair of cutters and then trim that all down. And remember what I shared earlier, the little pieces you have left over, just throw them in a little basket for you have them later. So let's get a visual on how this is going to hang as well. You want to look at it and find how you want to build it out, because these vine wreaths are not proportional. They have their own little personality. So lay out your design first before you glue it on. Don't make that mistake of gluing it. First lay it all out and then glue it on. There's a little pop-up on the left there showing you some different wreaths that I have done, and they're actually in this share coming up. So lay it all out first. And as we're laying this out, I'm going to get a cup of coffee and I'll be right back. So now that we've laid it all out, we are going to wire it with pipe cleaners, or you can even use those zip ties depending on what you like working with. And I did it this way because I wanted to give it that extra secure. I'm also going to glue it as well, but I am wiring the floral accents to the actual wreath, and then I will be gluing it and then accenting it. So we're continuing to glue and bling this out, and then we will go from there. These are super easy to do. So if you're looking for a wreath that you want to say, hey, I made that, this is a great one to start with. They already have that really pretty effect because of the vines already being intertwined and it's already painted. You can even hit that with a little bit of spray glitter if you wanted to give it a little extra pop. But these are just so easy, and you're just shoving the stems down into the actual form as well as wiring them on with the pipe cleaners. So you can use pipe cleaners, wires, the zip ties, but you do want to make sure it's secure. Now we're just going to put the pretty poinsettia on there. Make sure that's on there really good, and then we will tap this all down with some glue and we will pretty much be done. It's that easy. They're really not that hard to do. And they look so pretty when they're done. Remember, when you're gluing, you want to glue underneath. You don't want it to be showing. You want to cover that up. So glue underneath your florals and your accents. Just to secure it and give it that little sturdiness. Especially if you're going to hang this outside and the wind's going to blow it. You want it pretty sturdy. You don't want it falling apart. I use Gorilla Glue sticks. I do use regular glue sticks for the things that are going to be on the inside of my home. But living in Arizona and it gets really hot out here, I use the Gorilla Glue sticks. And even at that, you still need to secure it down because the glue will, if it gets hot enough, melt. But during the holiday season, we don't get that hot out here, so it's okay. It's okay for the holidays. If you're making it for summertime or even fall or spring out here, don't use glue. Make sure you wire it all down with the glue. So just adding a few more accents to give it a little bit more fullness and pop, and we will be done with this one and jump on to our third project. So our third project is going to be the silver color. Same type of ideal, so I really don't need to talk you through this one too much. It's instead of being gold, it's silver. Same type of ideal. You get your visual to make sure you have it where you want it. Get your layout first. Cut down your florals. Make sure you leave your stem ends on there so you can shove them down into the vine wreath. You don't want to cut them too short, because that's going to grab and hold. And from there, you are going to make your bow. So let's just lay this out and get to it. So remember, when you're gluing, you're going to glue where you can cover that glue up later. So where that pine cone, I just glued that down, got it really secure. I'm actually going to overlay that with a flower, and then it'll also be covered up with the bow when I accent it with the bow. So we're using the pipe cleaners again with either the zip ties or the wire to secure it, that little extra security. glue it down to make sure it's nice and, snug, for it can withstand the winter weather out there. If you're putting it outside. And if you're putting it inside, you still want it to be sturdy. Be a job, big or small, do it right or not at all. So it's been said. That's kind of my philosophy. I try to make them right the first time. So here's the fun, easy peasy part. We're going to make a bow. We're going to loop it 4 times. And remember, we loop. If you zigzag back and forth, be aware if you have a pattern on one side and not the other. You want your pattern when you loop it to show out for when you fluff it. It's all showing. This one here, because it's the same fabric on both sides, I just looped it, and I'm doing the same thing with the centerpiece. Just going to put it 3 times, make it pop. Remember too, this one here does not have the wire edging, so it's not going to hold the form like the other two, but I'm using it as the tiny centerpiece, so the 2 pieces will make that pop and stand up. But when you're using satin ribbon, it's going to go flat on you, so remember that. You can't go as big and floppy with it. Now we're just going to fold it in half, our little bunny ears, find the center, and then tighten it up and put it on. It's not that hard. It's really not. And fluff it out, twist and fluff, twist and fluff, twist and fluff. That's the key on your bows, is be aggressive and twist and fluff them. If you've got your pipe cleaner or your zip tie on there tight enough, it's not going to fall apart on you as you twist it and pull it out. These bows are beautiful for wedding bouquets as well. When you're doing like wedding balloons on tables or anything like that, this is where I learned how to do that. This particular style years and years ago. My second mom, her and I did weddings together, and we would take balloons and run them up the center of those bows for accents on the tables at the weddings. So much fun. That was an 80s thing. But they're really pretty. And you can do this even for like bridal bouquets, bridal showers, wedding showers, just all kinds of different things you can use these type of bows for. They're just big and fluffy. So we're going to fluff this up, and we're going to put this on. Bam! Twist that in there through the vines, kind of wiggle it down in there. And this wreath will be done too. Here we go again, where I'm showing you just to twist and fluff and get aggressive and just form it to your wreath. So that's project number 3, 5 to go. This one here is something that I've seen on YouTube and other channels as well. It's a super easy peasy project that you can do with your kiddos. It's little Santa glasses. And what's fun with this is that you can do this with paint pens. You can even do it with a Sharpie marker if you wanted to, and then bake it into the glass. This actual share is on my channel as well under my playlist under holidays and glass paintings. What I've done with this one is I did it with the paint pens because I wanted to keep it super easy peasy for the kiddos out there. It's a fun family project. Another thing you can do with these is fill it up with the soy wax and make a candle out of it if you wanted to. Just fill it up about 3/4 to a half, and it's really cute for the holidays. I did this for my grandson last year, I believe, but it was just kind of fun to send something a little different. So this is Santa Claus going down the chimney, and they're also fun for a dinner table, and you can make different styles and techniques. You can do reindeers, snowmen, just holidays, whatever, whatever you want. But I did it with the paint pens, and then I bake it in the oven after I let it dry before I put the glitter on it. So you don't want to put your glitter or anything on there. First, you're going to paint it with your paint pens, bake it off. Baking directions are in the descriptions under my playlist for baking glass. But it's 325 for 25 minutes roughly, or 350 for 35, depending on the thickness of your paint. When you're doing it with paint pens, just remember white will burn, so you want to do about 325 for about 25 minutes. Just let them cool down in the oven, walk away, forget about them, take them out the next day after they've cooled down, and then you continue to work on them. If you want to just use the dishwasher Mod Podge over it and not bake them, you can do that as well. Just remember, the dishwasher Mod Podge takes about 25 days for it to cure and really be set. So on here, what I've done is I did one to show you and what it looks like, and then now we're just doing it. Super easy to do. So you make a V. So you're just going to do a circle about 1/4 of the way up, and then do a V for his feet, and then add some shoes on there. Super easy to do. So now that we have his shoes on there and the basic pattern, we're going to add some snow and some brick just to make it a little bit more festive and fun. So I'm using white acrylic paint and I'm putting it on a little blotchy because I wanted that snow effect. You can do this with a white pen as well. After I put on the snow effect, then I'm going to cover that with a little glitter, let it dry, do the dishwasher Mod Podge to seal in that glitter. Bam, done. So right now we're just going to go dab, dab, dab with the white paint. Super easy peasy to get that brick effect. Just take your black marker, draw some lines in black, and then you're going to go back and draw some lines in white, and that will give you the brick effect. Like a little chimney. Remember, the descriptions for how to bake glass is on my playlist for glass painting. Under this particular share, it does have how to bake the glass. This one is an 8 share of different variety, so that's where it's at if I don't get it on there. I'm going to try to remember to put it on here as well. So now we're just going to use the Mod Podge to glitter, but I use the dishwasher Mod Podge. You'll see regular Mod Podge sitting here, and you can do that, but I like the dishwasher Mod Podge. Let it sit for 25 days and you're good to go. So that's our cute little Santa glass, something fun to do with your kiddos. And on to the next project. I think that will make this one number 5. This one here is a Christmas board that I did freehand, and I thought I would put that on here for you could see that. And then I also have one where I covered that board up with gift wrapping paper to show you how to do that as well. So this is the gift wrapping board. Super easy to do. All you do is Mod Podge it and then seal it with Mod Podge. That way it's good for outside. You use the outside Mod Podge, it'll be just fine. Regular Mod Podge, if you get it wet, it gets the elements, it will activate it. So you want to make sure you use the right Mod Podge for the right project. They do have outdoor Mod Podge for outside. So I just put a nice heavy coat on here, sealed it all down, and then we're going to stencil it. I wanted that plaid effect to go with the bow and the little truck accent that I have on here. So we're just covering this up with Mod Podge, going to let it dry, and then we're going to stencil it. These stencils I picked up at Amazon. They are on my Amazon profile. I don't have affiliated links at this time. I've shared that before. I do have an Amazon profile page set up for Hallies Creations where you can go in there and see the different items I have bought and used through Amazon, just to make it easier for you. And this one would be under my DIY projects, as well as crafts probably too. So we're just going to dab, dab, dab. Another little trick that you can do if you have a little air gun or even a can of paint, if you just lightly spray that, it will look really cool too. I use my air gun sometimes to do my stenciling now, but this one I use the little sponge, and I put the paint on very lightly. You don't want to go heavy, and just gently dab it, and you'll get a really nice clean stencil. When you use a brush, sometimes it will bleed underneath the stenciling. That's why it's important to make sure that you're using a sponge and you gently dab it and you don't put the paint on too heavy. Yeah, learning curve, I've done that. Now what I wanted to do to make sure that it was good for the elements is I sprayed it with a clear seal of varnish. So lacquer varnish, so this can go outside. So I used the matted Mod Podge on this particular piece, and then I sealed it with the clear seal. But if you don't want to take all those steps, just use the outside Mod Podge. You'll be fine. Now we're going to add the ribbon just to give that edging a finish. And we're going to do that on both ends just to finish it off, then trim it up after it's dry, and we will be done. On this particular share, you're going to see how I have like the little car and the little bow up there. You'll see that on the next share how I did that, because this is a sign that I did over. So I just sealed this up with the Mod Podge. Like again, I said, I sprayed it just to make sure that it could withstand the elements. And that's it. Pretty easy peasy. Remember, don't forget to hit your subscribe and notify, or like and follow if you like what you're seeing, for you'll get the notifications when new postings are done. And also on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist of all these different shares that I have, and they're all under the different categories, so they're super easy to find. Just go into Hallies Creations and you'll be able to find it. These little accents here are so perfect, because when you have a little boo-boo here and there, you can just cover it up with a cute little berry. I had a couple of places where the paper tore, and it was like, oh, I'll just cover that up. It happens. It really does. We just do our best to make it look as good as possible. So much fun. Okay, this share here, I'm saying hi. This is a Dodgers Christmas wreath that I did for a client, a friend, client/friend. She wanted her Dodgers, so we did it in the team colors. This is a 12-inch. You can do 12, 16, 22, whatever size you want. This is done with the Dollar Tree form with I special ordered the ribbon for we would have the Dodgers ribbon and then the mesh color of your team. So this is going to show you how to do a mesh ribbon where it's the tulle and it pops. So what you want to do when you're picking out the colors for your team is go ahead and get the different colors of your team. Most teams have 2 to 3 colors in it, so you want to mix those up to give it some flair and some pop. So let's get started on this one. Let's do this. So you're going to have your team color ribbon and you're going to cut them out into the strips. What we're going to do is I cut the strips out to be long enough to tie on to the wreath form. This is one of my earlier shares, so I had pre-cut a whole bunch of my ribbon out ahead of time. You'll see now as we go along, I usually cut and design as I go along. But this was one of my earlier shares, and I thought I'm going to put this in here because it does have a lot of neat little tricks and notice on this I have some pipe cleaners already on the form. I did the lighter pipe cleaners where I'm going to use the white, and then I used the darker pipe cleaners where I'm going to use the dark. We're going to cut the mesh ribbon out, and they're about 10-inch cuts. This took 2 blues and 1 white, a total of 48 cuts of the mesh ribbon, as well as the accent ribbons and such. So as we're cutting this out, a lot of the descriptions are already on the screen. Again, as I shared, this is on my playlist under wreaths, but I put this all into one video for Christmas where you would just have it all in one place. So if you want additional information, you could jump on over to my playlist on my YouTube channel, and it will give you all that in the descriptions. So now we're doing 6 total cuts of 30 inches each on the blue satin ribbon. And then we're going to accent that with the ball ribbon, and those are 6 inches of a total of 6. And then we're going to layer these up and attach them to the actual wreath form. So you'll notice here on the wreath form how we have the white, blue, and then the ribbon, or the blue, white, and the ribbon, depending on where we're laying it on the frame of the form. So you're just going to roll, 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 then roll, 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 and then roll, 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 and then lay them all together. So you have 3 together. They're going to pop really good and be really full and fluffy when you put them on that form. And there's different ways you can play with it and kind of get a feel for how you want to do it. This particular one, I wanted it really fluffy. Rolling the mesh gives it that bow type, this real clean edge look. Don't cut your pipe cleaners right now. You're going to leave them long because you're going to attach your ornaments here in a little bit as well. Or if you're using zip ties, depending on what you're comfortable using. But leave them long, don't trim them yet. If you're using zip ties, you're going to have to go back in and use another zip tie. So those you can trim down, but the pipe cleaners you want to leave long. Here on the inside frame, I did just a smaller little cut with only the 2, not the 3, because otherwise it's too bunchy. So just 2 little rolls on the circular inside of the frame. Remember, fluff, fluff, fluff. So once you get it all on there, you want to fluff it out really good. You want to lay your garland in there if you're going to use garland, and zip tie that down or use the pipe cleaners. Here we're doing the ornament with the pipe cleaner. I'm going to put that down, a couple little twists that will hold that in place. We're going to pop out the ribbons a little bit more, trim up. Now you can trim up your pipe cleaners and stuff as you put them on, because you're putting your ornaments on with them. And just fluff, 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 and you're pretty much almost done here. My little business shout out is to know your worth. Don't undersell yourself. Don't feel like you need to take and give your stuff away. Your time is valuable. You've taken the time to learn this. You should gauge what you think you're worth per hour. And if you're dilly-dallying, take that into equation. If you're taking 2 hours on a project, you know you could whip out in 15 minutes and you charge accordingly to the 15 minutes. But what I'm saying is get the cost of your materials. You want to bump that up a little bit because you took the time to go get them, as well as what you're worth per hour. Make sure you're not selling yourself short. This particular wreath here, I wouldn't sell it for any less than $85 probably, unless it's a friend or a client. Then of course I give the friends and family discount. But if you're doing crafts fairs and things like that, make sure you're getting paid. If you're making quality product, it's not going to fall apart. You're putting your heart and soul into it. You're buying good quality materials. Then you need to be paid accordingly. And if for some reason it doesn't sell this season, it'll sell next season probably. Or you can do an after Christmas special or whatever. But make sure take care of you. That's what I'm saying. Take care of you. I'm not a mass producer. I like to do these in order to teach you how to do them. That's my jam. I don't do craft fairs or things like that. I don't even have a shop at this time. When I make something, I usually already have it sold before I make it, or I make it because I have someone in mind I want to gift it to. So keeping that in mind, know your worth, and don't sell yourself short. And if you don't like the way it's looking, it's okay to change it up and rework it up. That little floral arrangement that popped up is a share that's coming up on this particular video. We're going to make a floral arrangement for your table. That way you have a wide variety of different things on this particular video sharing, things you can do for the holidays. Remember too that all these shares are on my YouTube channel under my playlist, and you'll be able to see them there. So happy holidays, and here's this one done. And we're going to jump on to the next share here. This one here, I sanded out the piece of wood, and what I did is I went down to Home Depot and I actually had them cut me planks of wood for the size that I wanted to make my signs for, because in some of these newer homes they don't have the big fancy room for those big fancy signs, so I made a little bit smaller for they accommodate the smaller front porch. So this one here is a freehand style, and I just wanted to show the technique on here. You'll see earlier on where we did the gift wrapping overlay, and it's on this here. I wasn't real excited about it, but I went ahead and made it just for the technique can be taught, and yeah, you can always redo your stuff. So what I did here is I am brushing that out. I've got the wood all prepped, and now we're going to sketch it out and we're going to paint this. Once I have this all sketched out the way I want it, then we're going to fill it in with paint. I'm going to whitewash the wood to give it that finished off effect. And then we're going to glue a real pretty bow on it and an accent with a little truck on the bottom. And that will be our Christmas sign. That's freestyle. If you decide you want to do freestyle. Notice how I do the dot, dot, dot. That's just a little method that I do to kind of get a feel for where everything's going to lay. So I just kind of went through and I do a little dot, dot, dot. I do that on my paintings too sometimes. So we're continuing just to do dot, dot, dot. We're measuring out to make sure things nice are even. And then we're going to fill this in. You'll notice even after we've done the whitewash, you can still see the dot, 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 the little formation underneath that whitewash. So you're not covering up if you don't do it too heavy. You thin out your white paint, wash it on there, and you have your outline for you can do your freehand style. It's a little cheater trick. This sign is done with all acrylic paint, so it's not that expensive, super easy to work with. Acrylic paint is forgiving and you can just learn by it, and yeah, it's not that hard. It's just taking your time. I'm not a big fan of freehand. I like my spray gun, my airbrush, and I like my stencils, but like I shared, I wanted to show you how to do a freehand one if you wanted to do freehand. adding some berries to give a little bit more accent. And in between all those little leaves, we're going to put a little truck. It's going to look so cute. And I'm taking the toothbrush and I'm spackling it a little bit, just giving it some spots of color in there, just some roughness. And this actually looks a lot better in life than it does on the video. But yeah, it is what it is. So we're just going to kind of play with it and spackle that in. I wanted to go over it in black just to make it show up a little bit better. The red looked a little flat for me, so I left some of the red paint poking out on purpose, and then I just went ahead and I did it in the black as well. And there's our little sign done. Little cross in the sea for Christmas. And now we're going to move on to our next project, which is a floral arrangement that you can use on your holiday table or gift it and bring it to a friend. These foam pieces you can pick up at the Dollar Tree, and then the plate I actually picked up yard selling. It's a very nice plate, but I used the flat curved plate on this particular piece for it would be very elegant. On this piece too, what you may want to do is you could take clear tape and you can actually run tape across that and tape that down as well, because the weight of the floral arrangement, especially if you're moving it around, may pop off and may not glue down as well as you like. So if you use green floral tape or clear tape and wrap that around across it, that's going, just a couple of wraps, that's going to give it a little bit more security. So now what we're doing is I push the green leaves down towards the top of the florals, and I'm cutting those in, and I'm doing equal pieces on both sides to make it balanced. And that's the real key, is to balance it out, and then you're going to build it up from there. On here, you'll notice that we use the shorter pieces in the front. I'm matching the front and the back together. When it's sitting on the table, I want it to look pretty from all angles. Don't cut your pieces too short. You can't add to them, but leave them long, and you can always trim them down. And those are going to push down to about 1 inch to 2 inches into that green foam. So you want to leave them a little long, for they can poke down in there really well. Continue to build it out and add your accents, keeping it balanced. If you add it to the left, you want to add it to the right. Your centerpiece is going to be a little bit higher than the rest. And there you have a beautiful center floral piece that you can take and have on your table or take to a friend's and say Merry Christmas. Just go through and trim it up now. And another little trick I do here you'll see is some of the berries, when you get them from the store or they've been in storage, they get nipped. And I use just a little red paint and I touch them up. Just a little red acrylic paint will touch them up. As I go through and I touch up the little berries, I just want to remind you, if you do like what you see, don't forget to like and follow if you're watching this on Facebook, and if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and set your notify, for you are notified when new releases are let out. I have over 400 videos and shorts on my channel now, so you're welcome to go through the different playlists and watch the different things that you may be interested in learning how to make. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May the Lord bless you and keep you. And until next time, Peace out.